The next speaker, Swami Atmarupananda ji, is going to speak on Vedanta, Blueprint for a Meaningful Life. The Swami discovered the Vedanta tradition while studying as an American exchange student in Sweden. In 1969, he joined the order in Chicago, then spent many years in India. He was instrumental in founding the San Diego Center, the Vivekananda Retreat in upstate New York, and the Vedanta work in Puerto Rico. From 2012 to 2017, while in India, he edited the new edition of the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. In 2017, he became the resident minister of the Vedanta Society of Greater Houston. In April 2022, he was transferred to the Centre Vedantique Ramakrishna en France, become its minister in charge and spiritual director. So I welcome Swami Atmarupananda ji.
Om yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedangscha prahinoti tasmai brahmadevam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshurvai sharanamaham prapadye. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. We who seek liberation take refuge in that infinite light which illuminates the hearts of all, which is the source of the Creator himself, and which is the repository of infinite knowledge known as Veda. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all the beings of the world. So, revered Swamis, dear brother monks and nuns, sister nuns, and dear friends, I'm very glad and honored to be here. My thanks to Swami Tattvamayananda Ji Maharaj for the kind invitation and the extraordinary hospitality he has shown to us here. Thanks to all of you for having come, because without you there would be no event. And of course, thanks to the many, many volunteers, many of whom I've met, who helped to make such a grand event possible. So, as Bobby mentioned, the title of my talk is Vedanta, a Blueprint for a Meaningful Life. And when I was asked if that would be a suitable topic for me to speak on, I said, yes, it sounds good to me. And then as I thought of it, I thought, okay, now blueprint, that's something static, which shows is a drawing for the plans for a structure, and so it's something static. But Vedanta is not static. It's life also. It's a path. And so then I thought, well, maybe it should be a path for a meaningful life. But then I realized, no, it is both a blueprint and it's a path. And so I'm going to speak from that standpoint as a blueprint first, and then as a path. Oh, and I better see what time it is so I know when to stop also. So, as a blueprint, I always like to start talks, if the title has any interest at all or any complexity at all, by analyzing the title, because that gives me a direction in which to go. And so Vedanta, first of all, what is Vedanta? Vedanta is this. And that's not a very helpful definition. If a newcomer comes and says, what's Vedanta? And you say, it's this. What does this mean? But in the first sense, Vedanta is this, because Vedanta is a tradition where the ideal is truth, that which is. And so Vedanta deals with that which is. Sister Nivedita said of Swami Vivekananda that one had the sense in his presence and as his student that for him, his religion was truth and truth alone. He taught Vedanta because he found there a clear exposition of the truth. But that's why he taught Vedanta, and not because it was just his tradition, but because he found a clear exposition of truth. And that is what Vedanta ideally deals with. What is truth? What is the truth? And what are the levels of truth? It reminds me of Meister Eckhart, the great German Christian mystic of the 13th and 14th century. He spanned the 2 centuries, who said that truth is a thing so noble. And he was a Catholic priest, but he said, truth is a thing so noble that if God himself were to depart from the truth, I would leave God and follow the truth. Truth is a thing so noble that if God himself were to depart from the truth, I would follow truth and leave God behind. So Vedanta, first of all, is a religion of truth. And the words for truth in Sanskrit indicate Vedanta both as a blueprint and as a path. So, the 2 words in the Vedas used by the two of the central words, not the only ones, but central words for truth in the Vedas. One is Satyam. Satyam means that which is true. Satyam comes from a verbal root, us, the root us, which means to be. And so Sat is that which is. Sat is that which is. And Satyam is that which has the quality of being, of existing. Even when we are talking about verbal truth, that you should try to be truthful, you should try to speak only the truth. What do we mean? You're speaking about that which is. You're not making something up. You're speaking about that which is. So truth is that which is. And that's the static aspect, very important, the most important. But there's also the dynamic aspect, and that in the Vedas was known as Ritam. Later, the concept of Ritam was absorbed into the concept of Dharma, which you find developing in the Vedas also, and finally the concept of Dharma replaced the concept of Ritam. But the concept of Ritam is very important because Ritam is the truth in action, the truth in movement. That is, living according to the truth, living in harmony with the truth. The idea that the universe is constructed according that the universe is a cosmos, which is structured, and that there is a pattern to the universe, and to be in harmony with that truth of the universe is to be in harmony with Ritam. And through that harmony with Ritam, the truth in life, truth in manifestation, one comes to the Satyam, to the highest truth. So, Vedanta as a blueprint for life. A blueprint, again, deals with structure, how to structure. What is the structure? What's the structure that we want if we're building a building? But here we're not building a building, we're examining the nature of this universe. And so that itself could be several lectures. And so I'm just going to mention several essential ideas. I'm not going to develop any of them. I'm going to mention several essential ideas for today. As you know, Vedanta says that the reality of all of this is Brahman. From the time we are born, we're looking around trying to figure out, where in the world have we come? What in the world is this? The baby with its big eyes looking at everything, looking at everyone, trying to figure out, what is this? Trying to figure out its own body. And we spend our life trying to figure all of this out. And so Vedanta says that there is a final conclusion to what is all of this. And that conclusion is that this is Brahman. It's the divine itself. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All of this is Brahman itself, as the Chandogya Upanishad says. All of this is Brahman itself. That means that if I look into the heart of anything with a mind refined through meditation and spiritual discipline, prayer, worship, etc., whatever my disciplines are, when the mind is refined enough, then the form begins to give way, and the luminous reality, the self-luminous reality of Brahman begins to shine forth. What we're seeing now is an interpretation, my mind's interpretation of Brahman. You may say that, well, we all see the same world, so it must be objective. There is the sense of objectivity to it only because this mind is born in the cosmic mind, the mind of God, the cosmic mind. This universe is a thought in the cosmic mind. And our individual minds participate because our individual minds are part of that cosmic mind. As it said, our individual minds are whirlpools in the ocean of cosmic mind. It is made of the same material, part of the same thing as the cosmic mind, but we're identified with a little whirlpool, whereas the cosmic mind is the vast ocean itself. So this universe is a mental universe. It exists within the mind of God, you could say, and within our own minds, because our mind is not separate from the mind of God. So it's a mental universe. And if through development of the mind, I can see through the name and form of things, I can begin to see the luminous, self-luminous reality. Not luminous like this, not luminous like the sun, but with that which is called luminosity because it's that which illuminates everything, that which illuminates even darkness, that through which we know, oh, it's absolutely dark in here. We know that it's dark because it's illuminated by consciousness, the light of consciousness. So one of the principles of the Vedanta is that this is Brahman. It comes out of Brahman. It exists in Brahman. It returns to Brahman. Another principle is, what about me? I'm Brahman. The strange thing is, we spend our lives trying to figure this out, but we spend very little time trying to figure out what this is. The body, yes, I try to study physiology, anatomy, and so forth. Maybe I take an interest in psychology. But that doesn't get to who I am. The body and the mind, they are objects of my perception. So I can't be the body and mind. I see them, I experience them. The body is there. Even with my eyes closed, I feel the body as an object. I can perceive my thoughts. Eventually, through deep meditation, even the ego can be perceived as an object. And so, who am I? That's one of the central quests of the Upanishads and of the Vedanta. Who am I? So the universe, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma, all of this is that infinite reality. And then when I look within, eventually I trace the source of the sense I am, je suis, as we say in French. Let me stop for a moment and say that it's for me a great relaxation to be able to speak in English where I don't have to constantly try to think of the way to say things in French. I love French and I love France, but it's a pleasure to be able to speak naturally without thinking about it. So we trace the sense of the I am. Where is my sense of self-existence? And eventually the Upanishads tell us, and the Vedanta tradition tells us, that we come to that which I really am, the cosmic I am, the pure I am, which is beyond even the words I am, which is beyond the concept I am, which is the true self. So it's spirit here, it's spirit outside, spirit inside. And so the very structure of the universe is based on these two principles. All of the other principles in Vedanta flow from this reality, this realization that within there's this spiritual reality, without there's a spiritual reality, and that everything else I experience is an interpretation. This is an interpretive universe that I see, my interpretation of the divine being. We can see it from the life of great sages like Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, the Holy Mother. If my mind were perfectly pure, I would see only Brahman. I would see only the reality, which is my own reality. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Tattvamasi, thou art that reality. So I don't see Brahman because my mind is interpreting what I see, what I'm seeing Brahman, but instead of realizing it's Brahman, I see it as this universe of perception, which arises within the mind and within the cosmic mind. So the basic structure, and there are of course many details that could be gone into, but not in a 40-minute talk. The basic structure is that there's the spiritual reality within and a spiritual reality without. So now we come to the Vedanta as a path. The Vedanta as a path towards a meaningful life. And there we find that one of the first things Vedanta gives us towards a meaningful life is that it gives us a goal. Not a goal, it gives us the goal of everything, the goal of life, the goal of evolution, the goal of bacteria, the goal of plants, the goal of matter, the goal of everything. It is the realization of this divinity within and without, the realization of this infinite spirit, which manifests as the subject and as the object. That's the goal of life, to realize God, in other words. In Vedanta, we have, of course, the personal path and the impersonal path, and there's not a conflict between the two, except right here. The only conflict between devotion and knowledge is right here in our own minds. There's not conflict in the paths, only in our understanding. So whether we seek a God, the divine object, or the self, my own self, the divine subject, we've come to the same point, realizing this infinite spirit, as I will express more in a moment. So Vedanta gives us a goal. Yes, we have other goals in life, subsidiary goals, raising a family, getting a profession, earning enough money to have a comfortable life, being a productive member of society, being happy, having experiences, learning, etc. All of those are good goals, but not in themselves. Not in themselves. Many psychological counselors, if someone comes and is maladjusted in life, then they tell them to get a hobby. Oh, that's good. Yeah, get a hobby. Do gardening. Watch some cooking shows and try cooking and do whatever it is. Those are all good things. But that's not enough. If all you're living for is to garden, if all you're living for is to cook, if all you're living for is to play with model trains, then what is life worth? What is life worth? What if you get to the point where you can no longer garden? Then your life is gone. Your life is gone. So have hobbies, there's nothing wrong. But we need an overriding goal of life, which is a goal for this life and all possible future lives which we might have, if we need to have future lives. That which is true in life, which is true in death, which is true at all times. Finding the reality, that is the goal. When you realize that the goal of life, the goal of existence, is to realize the truth, however you conceive of it, as in personal terms, in impersonal terms, it doesn't matter. They come to the same thing. It's only philosophers that cause trouble by making them look different, but they come to the same thing. Follow either way you want. But if you come to that understanding that the goal of life is to realize the truth, to realize God, to realize the self, then suddenly all of your other minor goals in life, they take their proper place. You don't have to get rid of them. You don't have to get rid of your family. You don't have to get rid of your home. You don't have to get rid of your job. You don't have to get rid of your model train set, if that's your hobby. All of that can stay. But suddenly, like a random pile of metal filings, if you put a magnet above them, suddenly all of the filings get ordered according to the magnetic field. Suddenly everything orders itself. So when you have a supreme goal in life, a meaningful goal, and this is the only meaningful goal in life, really, then suddenly all of the other goals in life get their proper place. They're still there. You can still have them. But they are secondary goals, which help you towards the primary goal because they have a supportive role. But you know that, no, the goal of my life is this. This is not the goal of life according to Vedanta. This is not the goal of life. And again, we can have some subsidiary goals here as far as this life goes. But when this idea goes deeply, when we internalize this idea that no, there is a truth, a transcendental truth, a real truth, a transcendental truth which is immanent, which is right here, in the midst of my own experience, then suddenly I know that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. If I don't have that, the problems in life are real problems. They're real problems because that's all that I have. All I have is this life, and there's a problem there. And life is basically, there are many definitions of life, but one definition of life is problem solving. You're constantly solving problems, and you think that, well, if I can just get past this problem that's in front of me, then it'll be easy sailing. And already there are two more problems coming around the corner towards you. And that's the way life goes until we pass away. If I know that, no, my goal is there, my goal is there. I'm not speaking in spatial terms. I'm speaking only allegorically in spatial terms. But my goal is there. It's not here. Then, okay, there's a problem. Let me solve it. But I'm going there. If I'm on the road and there's a tree crossing if a tree has fallen and crosses the road, I can't pass it, and I know what to do. I'm going there, so I have to work to get rid of the tree. But if I'm just driving around randomly and I come to a fallen tree, then what do then it's just blocking my random wanderings. But no, if I know I'm going there, that gives the inner strength to face all of the situations in life. I can face everything, because with time and experience, we begin to get the faith that there's no problem that can arise in my life which I don't have the inner strength to face. We begin to get that faith that, no, I can face any problem, no matter how big. Many of you here have faced problems that you surely thought that you never, before the problem arose and you had to face it, you never thought that you could deal with it. But you did. You're still here. And we can. So when we know the goal of life, then suddenly we have an orientation and everything in life takes on meaning. It's like the Copernican revolution in astronomy. For Copernicus, Ptolemy's astronomy was dominant in the West, and that said that the Earth is at the center of the universe and the heavens move around the Earth. That made the movements of the planets extremely complex. So ancient people could calculate the movements of the planets, but it was extremely complex. Just imagine if we still thought that the Earth was the center, and we see the movement of the planets and the constellations, the stars, and we're trying to figure out the patterns that they're following. It becomes extremely complex. But when Copernicus said, no, the sun is at the center of the solar system, and all the planets move around the sun, and the Earth rotates as it moves around the sun, suddenly the movements of the planets became simple. Very simple calculation, and the movements of the heavens became simple. So with Vedanta, when you realize that there is an ultimate goal, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going. That's what all of my joys and sorrows are for. Then suddenly everything becomes meaningful. My tears are meaningful, my joys are meaningful, because all of it is part of experience. As Swami Vivekananda said, the great lesson of the Sankhya philosophy is that the goal of life is not pleasure. The goal of life is experience. Now, when you hear that the goal of life is not pleasure, people often interpret that to mean, well, I have to stop enjoying anything. It doesn't mean that. If you have good food, if you listen to good music, if you take a nice walk in the mountains or something, yes, you still enjoy that. But if you know that the goal of life is not just having a good time, but it's gaining experience, gaining understanding, then even your sorrows, even your difficulties, even the trials and tribulations that you have to face, and everyone has to face them, then they become equally meaningful too. Not just my joys, but my sorrows also become meaningful. Everything becomes meaningful because everything is leading me towards a meaningful goal, the goal of life, the realization of the ultimate truth. And the realization of that truth is realizing who I am. As Vedanta says, I'm not who I think I am. I am the infinite self, the infinite self. So a part of the path also, first we get our goal, a large part of the path. And again, I'm just dealing in broad generalities today because of time. Another major part of the path, well recognized in Vedanta and extremely important in Vedanta, and something Vedanta is criticized for, as I will explain. And that is, a large part of the spiritual path is rethinking. Rethinking. As I said, the world that we see is a world of interpretation. I see an interpretation of Brahman. That's what all of this is. It's an interpretation of Brahman. And so if I want to see the truth, I have to correct my thinking. And I start with my present experience. I don't have to deny what I'm seeing. This is what I see. This is what I'm dealing with. I don't have to deny this, as Sri Ramakrishna says many times in his teachings. If you're pricked by a thorn and you say the thorn doesn't exist, and you're going like that, that doesn't carry much conviction. So we have to deal with what we're seeing now. And so I learned to think that everything is Brahman. And if everything is Brahman, even if I don't see it now, let me begin to treat everything as if it's Brahman. Let me treat others as if they are Brahman, as if everyone is God. Let me treat material creation as if it's Brahman. Let me respect everything. And why respect? Because whatever we respect, that gives its best to us. If you go to a great music teacher and say, okay, I hear you're a great violinist. I want to learn the violin. So here's my money. You take the money and you make me a violinist also. Is the violinist, if the violinist is poor and desperate for the money, they may take the money and teach me, but will they give me their best? No, no. But if I go with respect and say, I know I've understood the greatness of your talent, and I've come as an humble student. I want to learn. Can you teach me? I'll do whatever I need to do to learn, but you please teach me. Then the violinist says, yes, you come. I'll give my best to you. And so whatever we respect, even material creation, it gives its best to us. And so a large part of the path and the way towards a meaningful life is to learn to reinterpret my experience. If this is all Brahman, to see it as Brahman. If I am the Atman, learn to think of myself in those terms. When I began to think, oh, why did I do all of those stupid things when I was young? Why did I say those stupid things? Maybe I said them 50 years ago, and the people who heard it have forgotten it 50 years ago. But I'm still thinking, why did I say that stupid thing in junior high school? No, that's past. Let the past go. Infinite spirit. Those are all of the mistakes. Swami Vivekananda spends a lot of time in his talks, not at a time, but many times he repeats in different talks. He says that mistakes are a part of life. They are the ways that we learn. And so don't feel bad about mistakes. Just learn from them. That's all you have to do. But let the past go. There's a beautiful name of Shiva, one of the Vedic names of Shiva, Sadyojata. He who is every day, who is in fact born anew every moment. We're born anew every moment. We have the chance to be born anew every moment. If we can only let go in the right way of the past. Yes, learn from the past, then let go of it. Let go of it. I'm the infinite self. My nature is light. All of this noise in the head, all of the problems, the things, the bad memories I have and all of that, that's just noise in the head. Let me always return back to the idea, no, that's not me. That's not me. That's noise in the head. I'm the infinite self. So learning to reinterpret who I am, learning to reinterpret what the world is, learning to reinterpret what value is, what reality is, where truth is. All of that is part of learning to rethink. So as I said, people often criticize Vedanta. Oh, in Vedanta, they're just always talking about things. As if it were very easy just to sit in meditation all of the time. No, we talk about things because a large part of the path is learning to rethink, getting our ideas straight. Because it's not because ideas are the reality, but when our ideas become in tune with the reality, then suddenly we begin to perceive the world differently. We begin to see people as beautiful, not as botherations and, oh, I hate people. Everybody's a liar. Everybody's after my money. Everybody's a cheat and so forth. No, we begin to see that, no, everyone is beautiful. Everyone is, the light of the divine is in the face of everyone. And so learning to rethink the world that I live in, that's part of the way to a meaningful life. So having a goal, finding a meaningful way, and then, as I talked about, ritam, truth in manifestation, being in tune with the nature, the true nature of the universe. Dharma, I'll to speak in terms of dharma because that's better known now than ritam. Though ritam had its own value as a separate concept, which was absorbed into dharma, but I'll speak in terms of dharma. Dharma is based on the idea of unity. There is one non-dual existence. We say unity because it's easier to talk about, easier to conceive of, but actually non-duality means beyond even the idea of unity, beyond enumeration. Unity is a good, useful concept. So the unitary nature of the universe, and it's that which is the support of dharma. Dharma dharyate jagat iti dharma. Dharma is that which supports the universe. Dharma is based on the idea of unity. Karma is based on the idea of dharma. Why is it that when I harm others, when I do harm to others, I cheat, I lie to others, I hurt others, that forms bad karma and it's reflected back to me? It's because of the unitary nature of the universe. And that unitary nature of the universe is reflected in dharma, the principle of harmony, which underlies the universe, the principle of harmony. Dharma carries the idea of harmony from the physical level, where the laws of physics, laws of biology, laws of chemistry, to the ethical and psychological and spiritual level, where there's the continuing harmony, continuing laws of spiritual laws, which are part of the structure of the universe. So when I'm in tune with Dharma, I'm becoming in tune with the unity which is the source of Dharma. And then my karma becomes beneficial to me and to others. That's all part, again, of the structure of the universe, but it's also part of the dynamic nature of the universe, the path that becomes meaningful. So the blueprint and the path go together in Vedanta. Let me, before concluding, I want to refer back to the Bhrigu Vali, which was so beautifully chanted, just the last part of Bhrigu's enlightenment, where it says, Sayastayam Purushe Sayastasavaditye Sa Ekaha Saya Evam Vita. This reality which is in me, the reality within the sun, that is the reality of the cosmic. So the reality here and the reality in the cosmic, it's the same reality. And one who knows that transcends the five bodies, the Annamaya kosha, the different koshas or the five bodies, the different levels of our being. Having known that, having transcended the koshas, then one travels through the worlds, this world and all worlds, singing the song of enlightenment. Ha, ha, ha. That's just an expression of joy of the enlightened soul who has become free, absolutely free. As I think it was Swami Atmarupananda said, that freedom is, was it you or Swami Chaitananda? I forget, who was saying that freedom and democracy are the mantras of America. And so one has experienced infinite freedom, infinite knowledge, infinite joy. And so one sings this song of joy. It says, Ahamannam, ahamannam, ahamannam. I am the object. That is, I am food. But food here means the objects of all my experience, that which I see, that which I hear, that which I feel, I touch. All of my senses that experience the universe. I am all of this. Ahamannado, ahamannado, ahamannadaha. I'm the eater of food. That is, I'm the subject. So you see, I'm the object. I'm the subject. Those of you who have studied the Drishya Viveka, which is very popular nowadays for good reasons, there it says that you are the subject, not the object. But there's a higher state where you realize that the subject and object are not different. There's only one reality. So how can the subject and object be different? The Drishya Viveka is forgetting a feeling for myself as pure consciousness, because now it's all mixed up. It's only forgetting that sense of pure consciousness, and then I have to come to the point where I see that I'm the same. I am that which underlies both the subject and the object. Ahamasmi prathamajaritasya. I am that, I am the firstborn of the universe. Again, words that are echoed by Meister Eckhart in one of his beautiful sermons given in Germany in the 14th century. That I was before God, and all manifestation came into existence. So one realizes that, so here is the harmony between devotion and the path of knowledge. Everyone will find in practice their own way to harmonize the two. But the two are not contrary. It's the same movement where I am the subject, I am the object, I am both. And I am that which underlies both, because the reality is beyond subject and object. God is the divine object. I am the divine subject. I am the self. But God is what kind of object? God isn't a rock. God isn't a piece of concrete. God is the divine object who is the soul of my soul, the antaryami, the consciousness within my consciousness, the light of my light, the innermost self of my being. And so God is a special divine object, the divine object who is also the divine subject. And so God whom I worship and the self whom I seek through the path of knowledge, it's the same reality. I'm coming to the same thing. And so when I feel devotional, I bow and worship to God, because I see God as as Swami Vivekananda said, God is the highest ideal. God is the ideal of beauty, the ideal of love, the ideal of truth, the ideal of everything beautiful, and the ideal of love itself. And so imagine if you're on the path of devotion and you're seeking God, the divine object who is also the divine subject, the heart of my heart, and I'm seeking God. And I feel through spiritual evolution and growth and development and experiences that I'm getting closer and closer to God. You think as I get very close to God in my experience, that I'm going to say, okay, I'm close enough. This is close enough. I'm just going to camp out here. And the ocean of infinite beauty, the ocean of infinite love, the ocean of infinite immortal existence, timeless existence, the ocean of infinite blessedness is right there before me. And I'm going to stop here and say, okay, this is far enough. No, I'm going to seek to plunge in and to become that. To become that. As Rumi, the great Persian poet, or poet in Persian, he wasn't born in Iran or in Persia, but the great poet said, "What in one of his beautiful mystical poems? What have I ever lost by dying? What have I ever lost by dying?" He says, "I was a mineral. I died and I became plant. I was a plant. I died and I became animal. I was animal. I died and became a human being. As a human being, I die, and I enter into that which is beyond even the angels. What have I ever lost by dying?" And he says that as the drop is afraid to fall into the ocean because it's going to be lost, but by falling into the ocean, it becomes the ocean itself. So devotion ends in that. The path of knowledge ends in that. So don't believe that the two paths are contrary and the two paths, one's this way and one's that way. No, if you like one alone, that's good. Follow that. Or you like the other one, good. Follow that. But there's no reason why you can't follow the two together, because that is a more beautiful path. When the part of you that wants to realize the infinite, and the part of you that wants to realize the infinitely beautiful, the infinitely loving. As one of my teachers, my Upaguru, my main Upaguru, used to tell me, there's nothing so purifying as love, nothing so unifying as love, nothing so transformative as love, because nothing so purifying, because when you love another person, then you only want to think about the person. The pure mind means a mind where there's nothing else in the mind. The mind is just one-pointed. So love is that which brings purity to the mind. It's that which brings unity to the mind, because it's the only thing I can think about, and that which transforms us more than anything. And so the path of knowledge, the path of love, both are great and beautiful paths, and they're not at all contradictory. So now let me conclude. And I'll conclude with the uh, ending of that Briguvali, which I love very much. Aham Vishwam Bhuvanamabhyabhavam Suvarna Jyoti Ya Evam Veda Ityupanishad. Aham Vishwam Bhuvanamabhyabhavam. I have overcome the world. That again is Brigu in his statement of enlightenment. One of the wonderful things we can do in our spiritual practice is to try to feel these truths, try to try to feel. I don't mean with sentimentality and all of that and getting all emotional about it, but trying to feel what it would be like to have this experience of having transcended the world. I'm absolutely free. What does freedom mean? Freedom, real freedom, means that nothing impinges on me. Nothing can limit me. There's nothing outside of me that can affect me. I am infinite, and there's nothing that can affect me. And so that aham vishwam bhuvanamabhya bhavam. I have overcome this world. I'm I am the infinite light. This is the Upanishad. Evam Veda iti Upanishad. One who knows this has known the secret of the Upanishad. And so Vedanta gives us a meaningful life because it is meaning itself. And I'll change what I just said and end on that note. That meaning is here. Meaning is not here. Meaning is not here. If we learn to feel the inner reality, ourselves as consciousness, we begin to feel that no, it's the mind that gives meaning to everything. Meaning itself is right here. Meaning itself is the divine. Meaning itself is the truth that Vedanta seeks. And so Vedanta is that which teaches us to find the truth outside and inside. And as other speakers have said, that is what makes Vedanta universal, not in the sense of competing with others to be the most universal, but because it is universal. Everyone is already a Vedantin. We don't need to worry about making them Vedantins. Everyone is a Vedantin, even the bacteria.
Thank you, Swamiji. So many beautiful images there, including the drop that's afraid of the ocean. I was thinking how ludicrous it is when we think of ourselves as afraid of the ocean, like